Welcome to the Masterclass series, Being Future Ready, brought to you by Indian Institute of Management Bangalore, Karmyogi Bharat and Vadhvani Foundation. We are excited to bring forth leaders, academicians, policymakers, thinkers, strategists and experts on emerging technologies where they will share their experience, expertise and advice on digital transformation and the adoption of implementing emerging technologies in the government that results in a stronger governance and better public service delivery. In these masterclasses, we will have the following agenda where we would like to introduce our partners, IIM Bangalore, Karmyogi Bharat, ourselves, Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy. We also get a chance to win a certificate upon attending these masterclasses. Welcome everyone to the masterclass series of Being Future Ready, and today we will be learning more about how to do projects, transformational projects in government. Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy is excited to host the 5th Masterclass in partnership with IIM Bangalore and Karmyogi Bharat. And I shall be your host for today. With me, we also clearly have speakers, our guest, Shri Nandan Nilekani, our speaker for the Masterclass today. And joining him, Shri Prakash Kumar, CEO for WITP, Professor Shankadeep Banerjee from IIM Bangalore as the head of CSITM, Shri Abhishek Singh, President and CEO for NEGD, MD and CEO for Digital India Corporation, CEO Karmyogi Bharat at Government of India. And before we start this particular session, without taking too much time, in these masterclass series, you have an opportunity to earn a certificate. If you were to attend 50% of our masterclasses, we do one every month. So watch out for the upcoming masterclasses. And at this point, without taking too much time, I invite Professor Shankadeep to quickly introduce IIM and CSITM.
Thank you, Purabhi. Good morning, everyone. And I welcome you all on behalf of IIM Bangalore and CSITM, which is a Center for Software and IT Management at IIM Bangalore. It's a center of excellence on the digital technology and management. So that's the external interface that IIM Bangalore has on this area to interface with government and industry. And we started in 1998. And it was actually thanks to Infosys and Mr. Nilekani's company, so that we got seed funded, and we started a long time back, and we are still here. So that's great. And so we have been connecting management researchers globally from top universities, and we have also been working closely with industry, and we have gotten a lot of speakers. Our focus areas have always been around digital technologies, latest, current, contemporary digital technologies. And currently it is focused on AI and digital transformation, product management, and also digital governance and policy, where this masterclass series have come in, and we have partnered, and we are happily partnered with Vadhvani Foundation, WITP, Karmyogi Bharat for this masterclass series. And on that, we have had wonderful speakers, and today's event is extra special because we have Mr. Nandan Nilekani today. So I'm very eagerly looking forward to this talk. So this particular event has got the highest number of registrations so far in this masterclass series. So so on behalf of IIM Bangalore and CSITM, I welcome the speaker and the panelists and all the participants. Thank you.
I now invite Shri Abhishek Singh to introduce Karmyogi Bharat to us. Sir, all over to you.
Thank you, Purabhi, and it's my honor and privilege to be on a panel with somebody like Mr. Nilekani, who has led transformational projects in the government, and there's no one better than him to talk to this as part of our Karmyogi Talk series. As we know, Karmyogi Bharat is the initiative under Mission Karmyogi, where we are building up an LMS platform for building capacities within the government. This is like this was launched with the objective of transforming governance to move from a rule-based governance to a role-based governance. On this platform, so far, we have got more than 400,000 government servants registered. We have almost 400 courses there. almost 800 hours plus of content. And yesterday only we reached the milestone of 200,000 hours of learning. So it's something which has been built very recently, but it's ramping up very fast. It's built currently on an open source platform. It has got world-class courses that tag to competencies, so that we are able to identify which role in the government requires what competencies, and we are able to assign the right people for the right job. It enables anytime, anywhere learning, because it's something like an edX or a Coursera for the government. It's self-paced, and it also provides, apart from the learning hub, a networking hub, a discussion hub, kind of wherein people can engage with other learners, engage with mentors, ensure that they are able to get more resource materials. And the way it is being built up is that we are getting content from not only government agencies and government departments, also from universities, from private sector companies, from best of the world-class institutions. WITP, which is partnering with us in this episode of Karam Yogi Talks, they have also provided us the courses on emerging technologies. We are in touch with IIM Bangalore also, who are again supporting us in this edition of Karam Yogi Talks, of providing courses on various subjects which are very, very relevant in the government. Karam Yogi Talks we started in January this year, wherein we get practitioners, we get experts who dwell on a particular subject, who give a talk with regard to how some things have been done in the government, or some things need to be done, or based on their experience from the private sector, based on the experience from anywhere in the world where they've excelled in doing something path-breaking. And then we also engage with our users, with our learners, government servants who have interact with questions. So this is a very interesting initiative, and we thank WITP and IIM Bangalore for supporting in this, and look forward to hearing from Mr. Nilekani with regard to how to implement large-scale transformation projects in the government.
I now invite Shri Prakash Kumar, CEO for WITP, to introduce Vadhvani Institute of Technology and Policy at Vadhvani Foundation.
Thank you, Purvi. First of all, I would like to welcome Sri Nilekani to this webinar, to this master series. We are fortunate to have him here. This particular initiative was started at the behest of the government by us, which is Vadhvani Foundation, with intent to skill government officials at mid and senior level with business level knowledge of new and emerging technologies. We started in November 21. The classes started, and so far we have conducted 53 training programs in which more than 2,400 government officials have been trained. So training is not the only thing. In fact, that's just meant to reach a goal, which is enabling government officials to convert their ideas into projects using some of these technologies. And that we do by taking use cases in the classroom. And also we are setting up an immersion center very soon in Delhi. The work has started, where as part of the training program, people will be taken to those centers, that center, to understand how these technologies work, have a look and feel. And apart from that, we also work in the policy area, where our main area of interest is data and data strategy. Plus, we have also worked in some other areas which are getting disrupted by technology, especially on the policy side. So that's the short description of WITP, and thank you very much.
So I won't take too much time, and I would like to introduce Shri Nandan Nilekani ji for this masterclass with a very succinct introduction. We are excited to have you as our masterclass speaker for today. And clearly, we are all aware he is the co-founder and chairman of Infosys Technology Limited. He was the founding chairman of the Unique Identification Authority of India, the rank of cabinet minister from 2009 to 2014. Most recently, Sri Nandan has co-founded and is the chairman of Ekstep, a not-for-profit effort to create a learner-centric, technology-based platform to introduce basic literacy and numeracy for millions of children. He's a recipient of many noteworthy awards like the Padma Bhushan in 2006, the prestigious Joseph Schumpeter Prize for Innovative Services in Economy, Economic Sciences and Politics, the Economist Social and Economic Innovation Award for his leadership at India's Unique Identification Initiative, Aadhar, and the Lifetime Achievement Award from EY, to name a few. He's been conferred as Asia's Businessman of the Year in 2003 by Fortune magazine, and the Businessman of the Year by Forbes Asia. Times magazine has also listed him as one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2006 and in 2009. CNBC TV 18 conferred him as the India Business Leader Award for outstanding contribution to the Indian economy in 2017. And he's also received the 22nd Nikkei Asia Prize for Economic and Business Innovation in the same year. Mr. Nilekani has also authored multiple books. He's the author of Imagining India, and he's also co-authored books titled Rebooting India, Realizing a Billion Aspirations, as well as The Art of Bitfulness, Keeping Calm in the Digital World, that released in Jan of 2022. He's received his bachelor's from IIT Bombay. Without much further ado, I welcome Sri Nandan Nilekani for this masterclass on doing transformational projects in government.
It's a great pleasure to be at this masterclass, and I see tremendous collaboration between Vadhvani Foundation and IIM Bangalore and Mission Karma Yogi and many other organizations. So I think it's really good to see this collaboration. So today I'll speak about doing a transformational project in government, and I'll use my Aadhar experience. Just to give you an idea of the scale of Aadhar, and Abhishek knows this well, we have done, just in the month of January alone, UIDAI has done 200 crore Aadhar authentications, which means that 200 crore times somebody has used Aadhar for authentication. Aadhar coverage now is about 94.65%, and about 29 crore eKYCs. eKYC is an electronic know your customer used to open a bank account or get a mobile connection. And about 1.37 crore people have changed something on their Aadhar card, whether it's the address or a phone number or whatever. So this is something which has become permeated through the system and has had huge transformational impact. But if you just go back and rewind a few years, July of 2009, there was no Aadhar, none of this was there. So in the space of 13, 14 years, we have seen a lot of transformation. And I think the fact that there is transformation, nobody will argue. But I think the purpose of my talk today is to get you behind the scenes on how this happened and what did we do to make this happen and what were the strategies and discussions and designs we did to make it successful. And I hope to share that with you. So I was invited by the then government to join as a cabinet ranked person in July 2009. And my first order of the day was, how do I make this happen? Because all I had at that time was the cabinet approval for creating a body called the UIDAI and a one-page thing on what it should do, which was to give a unique ID to every resident. So that was my starting point. And I first had to think about what should the strategy be. So I assembled a team of people. So first of all, the team building that I think we did in UIDAI itself was very unique. I brought a combination of fine officers from the government as well as excellent technologies from outside the government. So the first thing is that I created a diverse team of people. I was very lucky that in the government, I was able to get officers like Mr. Ram Sevak Sharma, who was my CEO and who later on went to become Secretary IT and Chairman of TRAI and most recently as CEO of NHA. A very unusual officer who did his master's in IIT Kanpur and another master from University of California. So he was really a techie at heart in the IAS. And I had other people like Ganga, who was from the Indian Audit and Account Service, who was our CFO. I had a young officer from Karnataka IAS, Shrikar, who was my PS. So on one side, I had many great officers from the Indian bureaucracy. And one of my first principles was that I would take people from every service to create more diversity. So just like I mentioned 2 IAS officers and 1 from the Audit and Account, I had many from the Civil Account Service, from the Defense Account Service, from the IRS, from the ITS. I had someone like Ashok Pal Singh from the Indian Postal Service. So I deliberately went out of my way to create a team of diverse individuals from diverse services, because I thought that I should have many viewpoints in doing the project. So that was just on the government side. On the technology side, I was fortunate to attract very good technologists, Srikant Nadamuni, Pramod Verma, Vivek Raghavan, Jagdish Babu, Shankar Maruvada, and many others who came out of the private sector or the technology sector who had never worked in government before. So we had both diversity within the government services as well as diversity of government and non-government people. And I created various structures, hiring people through NISG, hiring people coming on sabbatical, people coming on as volunteers, people coming as interns, and so on, all of which to create the proper framework to bring such people together. And it was, of course, my big challenge was how to get the cultural alignment of all the people because they were from very different backgrounds. And that's why goal setting was very important. And within about 3-4 weeks of my joining the government, we actually came out with our strategy document, which is still valid. It's 14 years back. And the strategy document spelled out exactly what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And I got it approved by finally had a cabinet committee, but at that time it was just another committee headed by the Prime Minister. I got this strategy approved by this committee, and we publicly said that we would reach 600 million Aadhar issued by the time the government finished its term in 2014. Now, I was advised by many people in government not to make such tall promises because you have no control over how to get it done, and therefore you would end up becoming embarrassed. But I felt that on balance, having a target was more important than the possible embarrassment of not meeting a target, because putting the target galvanized the entire team because they had to make it happen within 5 years. And in fact, we reached 600 million Aadhars by March of 2014, so we achieved it ahead of time. But fundamentally, setting that bold target acted as a glue to bring all the team members together because there was no time to worry about interpersonal issues. We had to worry about getting the job done. So one of my lessons in doing transformational projects is you have to set audacious goals and you need to assemble a diverse set of people from all backgrounds and bring them together. Another important principle I had was transparency. I wanted to make sure that all our actions were visible. So we made sure that everything we did, we put out a document, we put out a strategy paper, we put it on the internet, we put all our policies on the internet. So our goal was create transparency of every kind so that nobody can point any fingers at us. Also, because of the fact that I had no government experience, till then I had not done a job in the government. I was very worried about, making mistakes or doing the wrong thing because government, as many of you know, is impenetrable and opaque, and it's very difficult to navigate. And you can always get tripped up because you don't follow some rule or something. Fortunately, this excellent team of bureaucrats I had a very deep understanding of government procedures, how to apply for EFC to get a budget, what is the procurement approach, how do you make sure that you have put your procurement in a way that you don't violate any CAG, CVI, CVC kind of stuff. So we had all that knowledge in my team, and therefore one of my very strong principles was we do everything by the book and do it properly as per the rules, all the government, the financial regulations. I didn't want tomorrow someone pointing a finger at us. And I must say that everything was done properly and we never had anybody actually say anything about our operations, and it went off seamlessly. It was also important for us to make sure that we did something which was acceptable to everybody. So there was two kinds of acceptability. One is bureaucratic acceptability and the second is political acceptability. So on the political side, even as we were rolling out, we set up a team in Bangalore and we had another team in Delhi. And my team told me that it will take 14 months to roll out the first Aadhar. It will take 14 months to build, or 12 to 18 months is what they told me, to build this very complex technology. And therefore, while the team was building the technology and testing it out, I decided to go all over the country. I went to every state and I met every chief minister and chief secretary and bureaucrats and made a presentation on Aadhar and what is going to come. And that was very useful because I was able to create a nationwide consensus around the Aadhar project. And I did it not only with states, I did it with central ministries, I did it with all the regulators, I did it with parliamentarians, I did it with the multilateral institutions. So really for 14 months, I was on a evangelical spree talking about what we had done. And I think that 14-month investment, talking to a wide set of actors, created the climate of opinion and made sure that when we actually rolled it out, the project went quite seamlessly. So one thing I've learned is when you want to do large transformation, you have to build a consensus of what is possible so that people are not surprised by what's going on. Another principle I learned was the principle of minimalism, which is don't try to take on too many things at the same time. And therefore, we kept the ID as simple as possible. We only had 4 fields: name, address, date of birth, and sex. We had, obviously, email ID and phone number for those who are willing, and we had the biometric data. Now, this minimalism ensured that we could do this very quickly and that we could do 50 enrollments a day per enrollment station. And that speed was very important because I realized that if you really want momentum in government, you have to have speed and show rapid progress. And that's why we had set the target of 600 million Aadhars in 5 years. But minimalism of design was important. One is for efficiency so that you reduce the time and the cost of enrollment. But minimalism is also required to ensure that we have the bureaucratic buy-in. Because when we were first announced as an ID platform, many people said, why do you need one more ID platform when you already have a passport or PAN card or voter ID card or whatever? And then we clarified that we were not creating one more application ID, we are creating a foundational ID. So our ID only said Prakash is Prakash, or Abdul is Abdul, or John is John. We didn't get into whether Prakash deserved a passport. That was still the remit of the MEA. Whether he is a taxpayer was the remit of the finance ministry. Whether he was a voter was the remit of the election commission. And once we clarified to all the government departments that we are not creating a new ID, but really a background foundational ID on which they could use it to remove duplicates and so on, everybody was very supportive. So it's very important how you position and how you pitch your product or offering, the transformational thing you're doing, in a way that it does not cause turf issues and reactions from the system, which is a very important criteria. We also did a lot of innovation in terms of enrollment. Normally the policy would have been to buy a lot of enrollment equipment and dish it out, but we said we will do it as an OPEX and not as CAPEX. And we came out with the idea that we will reimburse enrollment agencies at the rate of about 50 rupees per Aadhar enrolled. And therefore, we went from a CAPEX model to an OPEX model. And we set up an enrollment ecosystem where different enrolling agencies invested in the capital. So they would buy the scanners and fingerprint machines and all that. And we only reimburse them on per Aadhar. So we made it outcome-based pricing. So the spending of the government was outcome-based rather than input-based, which again was an important shift in the way projects are done. And it can be applied in many other large projects. This also meant that we had a market system on enrollment. We had over 100 enrollment agencies. At peak, we had about 35,000 enrollment stations, each enrolling 50 people a day. So at peak, the system was capable of dealing with 1.5 million new enrollments per day. And therefore, creating that scale and speed, the important thing was incentive alignment of enrolling agencies going from CAPEX to OPEX and creating a market system of enrollment. And the way we ensured quality was all enrolling agencies used a standard software that we provided. So there was no way for anyone to do anything else. They had to use a software platform, and we did all our quality rules through the enrollment software. Similarly, we had a standard list of which scanner to use and which fingerprint machine and so on. So everything was standardized. So the enrolling agencies did not have any scope for deviating from our very high standards, and we had very high telemetry or instrumentation of what is happening at the enrollment station. So remotely, we could study the behavior of 35,000 enrollment stations and make sure that any quality and fraud issues could be caught. And this again is an architectural principle of how do you create speed and scale, at the same time enforce quality. Now, this was at the front end. I also had to make sure that there were multiple enrollment registrars, because I wanted to create a choice for citizens to go and enroll. And so we not only had enrollment through the state governments, we had enrollment through the banks, through insurance companies, through the post office. So creating a multi-registrar model was extremely important to create competition and choice, so that customers, in our case, the residents could access. And that's why the whole system was sort of designed to create a very large footprint of enrollment. And as I said, at peak, we had 35,000 enrollment stations. I think there are many other learnings that we had. We had to learn how to, I had to learn how to do budgeting in the government, how to prepare an EFC, how to argue the case in front of the expenditure secretary and so on. And I also was very clear that all of us were not going to be there forever. I was not creating a new bureaucracy. So I was clear that we would have a basic set of people, but by the time we all wrapped up, it was entirely taken over by the system, because the system had to own Aadhar. And we were very fortunate that over the years we have had excellent CEOs at Aadhar, and today, for example, we have Mr. Saurabh Garg, who's leading it with such distinction. So I think we've been able to create an independent institution within the government with proper leadership, proper rules. And then, of course, we had to deal with many other issues. We had to create political consensus. When the government changed, I had to meet the Prime Minister, and he was very gracious, and I think gave full support for Aadhar. So how do we navigate when you have a large multi-year transformation? How do you make sure that it is carried on even when the political system changes? So that's another important lesson. And also I had to deal with the court system. Many people went to the Supreme Court and argued that Aadhar was a violation of privacy. We believed it was not so. We fought the case. And in fact, the Aadhar case was the second longest running case in the Supreme Court, I think, after the Keshavanand Bharati case. And at some point, the question was asked, do Indians even have a right to privacy? And the Supreme Court set up a nine-judge bench and said that yes, Indians do have a right to privacy, but that can also be, has to be in the framework of government policy. And after this huge path-breaking judgment, the Aadhar law was tested against the Supreme Court case, and Aadhar law was upheld 4-1 in the Supreme Court. So there's a whole other journey that Aadhar went through, which was how to make sure that it came within the framework of law, privacy, and all that. So anyway, I think there are many aspects to this project, and I had the pleasure of leading it for 5 years, and I was very delighted that many of the people after that took it to even greater distinction. In fact, Abhishek Singh was a young officer who was present in my first meeting to discuss Aadhar with the Ministry of MeitY in 2009. So many of the people who are doing leadership roles today were also there at that point, which also shows how in government continuity comes through different generations of leaders. And so, but I think I will stop here. There are many nuances to what happened. and it could take a long time to talk about it. But I think my message is, yes, you can do transformational projects in government. I think this is proof of that. It is not easy. It takes time. It requires strategic thinking. It requires team building. It requires minimalism in design. It requires incentive compatible design. It requires creating a bipartisan approach. It obviously requires very high quality technology. So many parts to it, but it can be done. And I do believe that it can be done over and over again. And when you look at India's challenges, only by doing transformational projects can we move faster to our goals. So with that, I'll stop here and happy to take questions.
Thank you for watching this session today. We hope you liked the Masterclass session on Being Future Ready. Stay tuned for our next sessions in Being Future Ready series.